love you. You're amazing. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me at Compose. I'm a big fan of Netlify, so I feel really excited and honored to be here. I'm curious, though, like with the audience here, how many here are actually designers? Okay, we got a couple of you. Awesome. Especially designers who code. Okay, cool. Or maybe you just consider yourself front of the front end. Okay, cool. You're my people. Amazing. So I was worried that I was going to be like maybe the token design person at this event, but I'm not alone. And I'm going to talk a little bit about design systems. But when I say design systems, I want you to also consider other roles that are considered in a supporting role, like maybe DevOps or like quality assurance or like whatever it is that you might do. For me, it's design systems. Cool? Cool. So my talk today is called Beyond Code Generation and where design systems can go in the age of AI. All right, let's get into it. So a long time ago, in a tech company far, far away, a designer decided, we need a design system. They had joined a company eager to shape the digital experience. Their mission, design the ultimate button. This wasn't just any button. It had to be a chameleon, adapting to all forms and functions. So first, they crafted the button variants, a button with text, a button with just an icon, a button with text and an icon, and even a compound button where a little drop-down menu was included that would reveal more actions. Variants? Yeah, of course. We have primary, secondary, a danger button. States? Of course. Hover, focus, so on. This button had it all, and the designer wanted the button to work anywhere. So they tokenized the button to work for light mode, dark mode, and you know what? On the roadmap, they actually have where customers are going to be able to brand the button. And so they made sure all the tokens were available for the themable magic of this button. Backgrounds, text, spacing, rounded corners, or not, shadows, or not, gradients, or not. We need it to be flexible. And it needs to work for any text length and have internationalization and be accessible. Oh, and it needs to be adjusted for native iOS or Android to feel a little bit more at home. The designer was proud of this ultimate button. But now, Figma has introduced a new feature that's going to make design systems more efficient. So with that new promise of efficiency, the designers set about to rework all the buttons to their masterpiece UI kit to use this new way. It'll all be worth it. Then enter new VP. VP is hungry to make change. They have to show that they're going to make big impact on their 30, 60, 90 plan. We need a redesign, they say. The designer was ready for this. They tokenized everything. Everything should be ready to go. But no, the VP had heard about design systems, and he wanted a new one. This system would be even better. So exhausted and frustrated, the designer packed their pixels and jumped to a shiny new job offer where they found themselves yet again in the throes of designing a new button. Taking everything that they learned from before, this button was going to be a more ultimate button. And so the cycle continued. And the designer wondered to themselves, how many times can I design a button in my career? This feels like Groundhog Day, just designing buttons over and over and over again. Weren't design systems supposed to fix this? Then, right before releasing this button into the wild, they got laid off. And now the designer must search for a new company where they can design their next button. Hello, my name is Jina Ann. In case you are wondering, I did collaborate with AI for a lot of the artwork in my slides, but I can draw. This is a self-portrait that I created using a Wacom tablet. Anyone remember Wacom tablets? Yeah. I did this several years ago. I am an artist as well, but AI is pretty fun to partner with, and I like to think of it as a collaborator. Anyway, I'm a design systems advocate. I've worked in design systems for over 20 years. My first one was during my internship at an advertising agency in Memphis called Odin. I actually was documenting design and code in Quark. Anyone remember Quark? Okay, yeah, that was like 2004. And then a 20-year journey in systems at Apple, where I got to work on the very first iPhone launch as part of the front-end development and visual interaction design that I was doing there. Fast forward to being the founding designer on the Salesforce Lightning design system, where design tokens came from. And I also managed a DevRel team at Google, the material design DevRel team. And then now, as of earlier this year, I'm on the Microsoft Teams visual design and craftsmanship team. We're working with both the Teams design system as well as the Fluent design system with Copilot AI. 20 years is wild. So, existential question. Why are we all here? For those of us that are into design systems at any capacity, or maybe at this event, not design systems, but maybe you do like DevOps or some sort of like automation, whatever it is that you do at your job, I ask, like, why are we here? Why design systems? I'm going to talk about design, oops, my bad. I'm going to talk about design systems, but like replace that with your role. Why do we do what we do? Why are we into this stuff, and why is it important to us? Do you love exploring tools? Yeah? Cool. Are you a total nerd for automation and efficiency? I think so. Do you love patterns? Like turning chaos into order? Or if you're in the design system space, do you like to bridge the gap between designers and developers? Because design systems are so hot right now. That's okay, and it's a fun time to be in design systems. But it's interesting to take a step back and ask yourselves these questions, like, how do you know like what your mission is? So in today's context of design systems, especially in software and product design, we often talk about design tools, pattern libraries, components, automation, but it's important to remember our purpose. We usually want design systems to improve our product design and development, and that's how we determine the success of a design system, right? Like how we improve the quality of our product, how much faster we ship the product, how much code we reduce in the product. But who are using the product? Well, users, customers, people. That's why we do this. Our purpose is people. So we have our internal customers, our individual contributors, our managers, our senior leadership, our executives. And when we sell design systems, DevOps, like whatever it is that you do in our organizations, we usually focus on success and productivity. But a design system alone is not going to achieve any of these things. Instead, it's the people who make these things happen. Design systems are not just about inventories and documentation, code frameworks, design tool, UI kits. In my world, design systems empower change in your culture. So I'm a huge fan of design systems and front-end community. of course. I'm also on the SAS core team, like freaking love CSS. Who are my CSS fans here? Amazing. Yeah, and I'm excited to learn from everyone here. And I promise this presentation wasn't meant to be like doom and gloom, but I wanted to share a few thoughts of the current state of our practice and where we can go. And then like zoom out and explore the evolution and future of our community and our practice with just a touch of AI, because let's face it, AI has quite literally entered the chat. So last year, I was laid off from my job at Google, where, as I mentioned, I managed the design and developer relations team for material design. And it hit me just as I was about to go on mental health leave. And I was dealing with a lot of stress, anxiety, and burnout. And so after the layoff, I decided to take a hiatus and just like decompress and like recover before diving back into the job hunt. And during my reflection, I found myself kind of contemplating the future of design systems. The looming elephant in the room, AI, has cast its shadow on the landscape and kind of has altered the way that we work. And so as I was like pondering things, echoes of the writers and actors strike combined with the ongoing layoffs that are happening in our community kind of got me wondering, like, where are our careers headed? And I have to admit, I meant to mention, whoops, how do I go back? There we go. This number I took this morning, 5,690,023 layoffs have happened as of today since 2022. So that's a lot of people. So I have to admit, after 2 decades in this career and after a layoff and a really long job search, it took like almost 1.5 years, I'm frustrated. But somehow I'm actually hopeful, and I have some thoughts for a future. But before we can chat about the future of design systems, I want to talk about the current state of our practice. So design systems have a significant impact on how things look and work online. We now have set standards for components, improving the overall user experience. Shared libraries are like a toolbox for designers and developers, giving us ready-made elements, saving time and effort. Thanks to better collaboration tools, teamwork is more manageable, making the whole design process more efficient. And these improvements mean that we're creating digital stuff that's not just better, but also like more consistent and user-friendly. So if these things are all done well, we've made our work more enjoyable and simpler. So you could say that design systems have turned the chaos into more organized and a smooth process. Or have they? Design system folks today still face tough challenges. And a big one is adoption, getting everyone on board within organizations. Even though design systems are touted to drive consistency and efficiency, convincing teams or whole companies to adopt these practices are still challenging. And some people still do not really fully grasp the long-term benefits. So looking back at the challenges that we face through the evolution of design systems have helped us to do things a little bit better now. And it's become like a crucial guidebook for improving our current practices. So each hurdle that we've overcome, whether it's consistency, collaboration, adoption, like it all holds a lesson. So understanding what worked and didn't helps us fine-tune our strategies. And it's like having a map that shows us like where we've been before and allows us to navigate the present more confidently and wisely. And we can learn from these historical challenges that's not just about avoiding mistakes, but is about building a stronger foundation for the future of design systems and getting better at what we do. So by embracing the lessons of our journey, we can innovate and elevate and evolve in response to changing needs and circumstances and create more robust systems that stand the test of time. So continuously improving is crucial for design system folks. Tools, techniques, best practices, they're all constantly changing, and we have to stay flexible and ready for new trends and challenges. And we can stay up to date and ahead of the game by learning and adapting, making that a regular part of the process. And my belief is that the right balance between standardization and intelligent personalization is the key to our career survival. And I'm going to get more into that. So the design systems community, or front-end community, whichever community you're a part of, I feel like we're kind of like a giant team of designers, developers, and other people that all work together, and we share what we know, we share our experiences, we help each other, and we have discussions on Slack or other social platforms. We share ideas, we solve problems together. So whether that's more local to your team or your company, or on the broader scale of the community, collaboration is vital to shaping the future of design systems. And as a community, we've created an immense, massive amount of knowledge. And some people chip in a lot, some people chip in just a little bit, but collectively, we all push ourselves forward. So 10 years ago, when my former team at Salesforce and I started doing design tokens, we had no idea what impact that this was going to have on the practice and our tooling. And that's just one element of our industry that the community adopted. And amazing practitioners in our community, some of which are in this room, are always innovating on new tools, new practices, all the time. Alla Kamatova wrote in her book called Design Systems that design principles must be relatable and memorable. And she suggests that you should, always, I'm a hand talker, so if you haven't noticed. She suggests that you should always use them. You should always refer to them. You should include them in all your presentations. And you should refer to them in design critiques. And you should even display them. And she also suggests that you shouldn't have too many of them. So at Salesforce, we had 4 design principles that guided our organization. And the first was clarity. And if you know me, I also have a conference called Clarity, total coincidence. Actually bought the domain name way before this happened, but I was in line with the values. But the idea behind clarity was to eliminate ambiguity. And efficiency was number 2, streamlining and optimizing workflows. Consistency, create familiarity and strengthen intuition by applying the same solution to the same problem. And beauty, demonstrate respect for people's time and attention through thoughtful and elegant craft. So we had these beautifully illustrated posters that we displayed all over the place at Salesforce. And our design systems intern actually created those illustrations, and they were all based on monuments here in San Francisco. By the way, I'm local. And we also gave out postcards at events. We talked about them constantly. And most importantly, we used them as a tool to drive our design decisions. So my friend and mentor, Craig Villamore, wrote about this in Forbes, and he was the chief design architect at Salesforce UX at the time. And in his article, he was talking about the launch of the Salesforce Lightning experience. And he wrote that the more decisions you put off, the longer you delay them, and the more expensive they become. Get to design decisions as quickly as possible, and use your design principles as an actionable tool. So in our case, we stack rank them, and having that priority order, you can use that to weigh your options. So is this gonna break consistency? Yeah, but is it gonna provide better efficiency or clarity? Then that wins. And having your principles stack ranked enable you to make design decisions with confidence. So as prevalent as design systems are right now, it's unfortunate that a lot of them do fail. And I have found that failed design systems are due to a lack of a unified vision, no shared language, and no purpose. And so you want to focus on these areas and the people that you're serving, and your design system will be set up for success. You know, values can shape a culture's norms, and that is what is important to an organization. It can be, you know, considering what's good or bad, what you want, what you don't want. It drives the decisions that you make, and it influences the expectations for the work ethic in your organization. So over the last couple of years, I've been thinking a lot about design quality, and I bring this up because I think this is another thing that we should be considering and talking about, especially with our executive leaders. You know, UI kits, documentation websites, storybooks, and so on don't really matter to them. But what will matter is talking about iterating towards a better quality product for our users. So when I was at Asana, I managed designers focused on design systems, accessibility, visual design, and mobile foundations. And the director that I reported to asked me to come up with the criteria for design quality. You know, we would often use the term quality bar in critiques and design reviews, but we didn't have anything to point to that like provided a clear like definition of what that meant. So that's what I had set out to do. So I started looking at Asana's experience principles, and I'm not allowed to show all 5 of them because a couple of them are internally focused. But the ones that I can show, there we go. The ones that I can show were about providing value for every offering and lead with an opinion. Sorry. There we go. And so it was like those principles and like the 2 that I'm like not allowed to share, or the 3 that I'm not allowed to share, kind of helped like guide me in like what's important to Asana. Like what is important to Asana's mission and their vision. So I spent some time researching quality definitions, rubrics that I could find online to try to like form an opinion. And then I like brainstormed those terms and definitions that aligned to Asana's objectives, and then I ran them by folks. People had a lot of opinions. Sometimes those opinions conflicted with other opinions, and so it was like just a lot of feedback to go through, a lot of stakeholders, PMs, design leaders, engineering partners, user research, data science, like just tons and tons of input. Fortunately for me, Asana actually had a framework for giving feedback that helped me process everything. And this was called do, try, consider. And so if you gave feedback in the form of do, this was mandatory in terms of like, you have to do this, but this should actually be used very rarely. Try was like to explore that next step and maybe see if you can find alternative options. And then consider was like to just think about it and respond, but you don't actually have any further action that's required. If you're interested in learning more, they have an article at bit.ly, do, try, consider. Yeah, so like using that framework and like iterating through all that feedback I got, I landed on a criteria that we could all align on. In the first category, I'm just gonna briefly sum up because there's a lot of words on these, but the first one was inclusive, to build toward our mission of enabling all the world's teams to work together effortlessly. We need to account for the needs of all people. The second category is intuitive. When our customers feel confident in their actions, next steps, and decisions they make, using our products, they are better able to achieve their goals. The third category is reliable. We protect flow by building a seamless product that helps customers perform tasks quickly and easily. The fourth category is cohesive. We create a familiar experience by having strong consistency standards that enable us to deliver innovative and creative products. And the fifth category is delightful. Delight is when a customer feels empowered, motivated, and rewarded using a product. Now, again, I mentioned priority order. These criteria were in a priority order: inclusive, intuitive, reliable, cohesive, delightful. And even though we had a lot of work cut out for us to achieve this, we had now set our intention. And we can use this vocabulary in design reviews, critiques, other meetings, and we can integrate them into our product process. So speaking to this criteria, we were able to not just be able to speak to execs in a way that speaks to impact, but also helps us defend our team's very existence. And the reality of my last two management roles was I found that I was constantly having to convince leadership why my team mattered and why we had a reason to exist. And it sucks that that's a thing that we have to do, but that's how it is. So it's really important to really know about the organization that you're serving, hear their input and apply it to practice, and find out how you can fulfill their needs. So rather than just advertising your design system, build relationships and solve problems together. And when you respond well to feedback, you gain trust. So it's normal to want to affect change in an organization on a wide-scale level, but to do that, you have to affect each and every person in that organization. And that can seem daunting, but I think if you just start with one person, a designer or a developer, and help them, and then slowly over time, they start to help people, and it kind of grows, and you basically can scale at a healthier level than trying to do it all in one go. So you get more frequent success stories rather than waiting for that one big success story and trying to impact everybody all in one go. So at a previous company, I was mentoring this designer on design systems, and he wasn't a coder, and so I was teaching him about spacing, typography, color, all of that. And one day I noticed that he was spending a lot of time doing red line specifications, and that hurt me because I was aren't we doing design systems to avoid that situation? Red lines shouldn't be necessary. But he said something really interesting to me, which was that he wanted to go through that practice of redlining a design so that he understood the craft and the reason that we abstract the things that we do. And I was reminded that it's important to have that beginner's mindset. So by honing his craft, he understood the why, and he was able to grow into a stronger design systems designer. Earlier, I mentioned my mentor, Craig. He's a big fan of biking, and in one of our mentor sessions, he explained to me what a Peloton was, and I'm not talking about the brand of exercise bikes and treadmills, but prior to that company, I'd never heard that word before, but he explained it to me, and he explained how, in a bike race, you'll have a pack of riders who ride really close together, and by doing this, they actually save energy. That it takes less effort, because the drag is less strong. And so these riders, even though they're all competing against each other, they actually kind of collaborate with each other in this scenario. So one of the riders will like ride towards the front, and they will be hit with a lot of resistance, and they'll get tired, being in the lead for a long time. And so to address this, that rider will move out of the way, and then a new rider will like move to the front, and now that person leads and takes on that resistance. And the riders who directly ride behind that person, they get a lot of benefit from this. And they all need to be like looking and responding and reacting quickly, but they are able to do it with less effort. And so I hope you can see where I'm going with this. But sometimes to collectively move forward, you have to help others go further. And so it's really important, especially in what we do, to have like working and pairing sessions, work on the system together. You want people to contribute and to have impact. And sometimes you learn something new and you learn it together. And if you're doing, a design systems office hours or like having a representative from various teams attending so that you can do kind of like an advisory board, you all learn together collectively. I often get asked, do design systems inhibit creativity? Spoiler alert, they don't. I attended Design Ops Summit several years ago, and it was a really cool presentation because this guy stood on stage with an upright bass, and he had a drummer, and he had a guitar player, and a saxophone player, and they played jazz, and they were really good. And then when they finished, he actually revealed that they had never rehearsed that material before, and yet somehow they were all able to play together, and it sounded amazing. And why was this? Well, he explained that it turns out that jazz actually has a framework of common patterns. And when these patterns are mastered, musicians can collaborate together on the fly without rehearsal and leave room for their solos and experimentation. It all just works. And I loved this. A good design system shouldn't inhibit creativity for people. It should give you a framework to collaborate with speed and creativity. Times are weird, economy is kind of weird. We've got AI changing the landscape of our industry. So what do we do with this? I think we need to have a better conversation about AI. I see a lot of people talking about AI speeding up our jobs, making our work easier, making our work less tedious, generating user interfaces, generating code, even having a robot to talk to guide you in your work. And I feel like that's like table stakes. Like we already live in that world. And if that's all our company is, like executives are hearing us talk about, then they're essentially hearing us say that we're replaceable. And if that's happening, AI isn't taking our jobs, we're giving AI our jobs. Let's not do that. My mantra is design systems are for people, not just designers, developers, product folks, or whoever else you're working with. It's about the end user. Like, what experience do the people who use our products and services get? Sure, AI can make our jobs easier, but how can AI be used to make their jobs easier? So regardless of your opinion on AI, it's here to stay. So if we have to work with it, we might as well use it for good. And I think AI could do so much more than just creating design or code bits. Like, how can we use AI to make personalized experiences for our users? So let's say I'm on your app, I'm on my phone, it's a very noisy, crowded train, it's nighttime, it's raining heavily, I have an astigmatism, the Wi-Fi's slow, I have ADHD, I have anxiety. These are all like things that are about me. And now let's say that I've let your app know that about me. And either through preference settings or the environmental context I was talking about, like nighttime, location, crowded train, your UI could ultimately morph and change to whatever it is that I need in this point in time right now. Then I get off the train, and I'm now home, and I'm on a larger screen, and it's quiet, and my anxiety levels are lower. Your app maybe morphs again to accommodate those changed needs. And now my brother, who I was living with, he's left-handed. He doesn't have an astigmatism. The UI changes again for him. It's not just about like fonts and colors, but like a completely customized experience based on my needs. I'm going to try to wrap up here. I know I'm over time, so. But like my point here is think about the end users using your product. I don't like cussing on a stage, but I just have to mention this right now because it's a reality that we all live in. But we can't talk about the future of design systems if nobody has jobs, so fuck layoffs. I was at an event last year where some design leaders were actually having a discussion about how to do layoffs ethically, and I'm here to say that that's impossible because layoffs are inherently unethical. But Ethan Marcotte, who coined the term responsive design, has been advocating for a union. And I agree, but like, it takes more than that. It takes a community. I was actually a paying member of the Alphabet Workers Union, and that didn't save me. But like, when I look at like how the writers and actors strike formed and worked together, it was very inspiring. Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to move forward because I know I'm out of time. Like, I just think like we can like come together as a community to like support each other and help each other and lift each other up, and like we together as people can like thrive by working together. And so let me move forward. Sorry, they're giving me the notice this time. So as we stand together at this point of our journey, let's move forward together, committed to creating systems that are not just for us, but importantly for the people. And it's important to shape a future that our careers can thrive, our community like strengthens, and our work makes a meaningful impact. Thank you.